one of the biggest names in Australian cooking with a passion for not only what goes on a plate, but also where it comes from. Please welcome Chef Matt Moran.
How are you? I'm very well.
Smells.
I know, it's a bit of a feast, isn't it?
Good.
And you have the sexiest voice, Matt. Hey, thank you for joining us. I always tell you that every time I see
blushing
you.
now.
I know. Congratulations on
Thank
Paddock
you.
to Plate. It's a cracking show. Why is it so important to focus on where food comes from before it hits the plate?
Look, I think it's you know, a lot of people say it's a bit of a trend, but it's actually not. It's actually here to stay. People want to know, you know, who's cooking their food, who's growing it, who's producing it, you know, how it's killed, whether it's sustainable, and it's just the right time at the, you know, I was in the right place, I suppose. So yeah, I had an absolute ball, 3 months filming the show, and I reckon it's probably, you know, professionally, the best 3 months of my life.
Oh, really?
Well, you know,
What was different about it?
I'm a chef, obviously, and I love to cook, and you know, I've done a lot of TV over the
When
years.
can we eat some of this?
You can start. Look, this is
We're
the,
going to hear the stories behind them, Jess.
yeah.
Yes.
And you know, I got to.
She's always hungry.
I love that.
Ravenously eyeing off the food.
Actually, I got a nice little tweet from your husband the other day saying how nice the show
Yes,
was.
It's beautifully produced, and you can see how excited you are about
I am. Look,
the
and that's
local growers and producers.
That's the great thing, you know, for me, you know, being in the kitchen for 25 years and using all this great produce, but actually not getting out and actually, you know, seeing who's doing it. So going out there, you know, I'd learnt so much.
And what did you learn most importantly?
You know, look, to respect what we're using. You know, this is a great example. I've been, you know, sort of banging on about this holy goat cheese for years and years, and I've given it so many, you know, prizes in Delicious Produce Awards and Vogue Produce Awards. To actually go there and make it with the girls, my appreciation for it was so much higher. You know, I went back into our kitchens like, guys, do you know how bloody good that cheese is?
Where does it come from?
It just comes from Victoria. So
Yum. Can I try some of it too?
Is it a little dairy that it comes from?
It's a goat dairy. There's about 200 goats, and they actually know the names of every goat
I was going to say.
in the herd.
Yeah.
I reckon this is the best
What were the
cheese.
nice names? The goats.
It's called Holy Goat, and all the names were like, you know, Starry and Comet and you know,
So
Mars
which goat did this cheese come from?
well, a mixture of a few. Yeah.
They milked them all together.
We can't say, you know, that's
No.
George's.
What's the name of this sheep that gave its life from?
That's actually a lamb, and
Lamb.
I know that lamb. That lamb came from my farm, actually.
Really?
Which is in episode 6.
Where's
we
your
actually,
farm?
Near Oberon, Rockley. Little town called
And
Rockley.
is this a shoulder?
This is the shoulder that we serve at Chiswick, and
This is phenomenal.
this has been cooked overnight.
And what's the name of that lamb?
Have you
That lamb
slow cooked it?
was not
naughty.
lucky.
Naughty.
Have you slow cooked it?
Yeah, that's been cooking overnight, and then I've
How
just
long?
roasted
All
it.
night on
Yeah,
very
all
low
night.
temperature.
Very low temperature, and then
And look,
we.
it just falls apart.
This is one of your signature
It is.
dishes,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
I
And
have
we-
cooked this for my family before. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
Just pop it in and...
Have
there
you
it
cooked it
goes.
like that?
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic.
It's stunning.
But don't they say that you should never, you know, the old saying is that, you know, you don't want to know where bacon comes from, that, you know, you shouldn't actually see how your food's produced, because otherwise that might put you off. Like, you don't want to get to know the lamb, because then you won't want to kill it and eat it. And lamb is delicious.
Yeah, look,
so you have to kill it and eat it.
It's reality, I think. And there's a great story when my little son was about 4, and we were talking about the chooks that lay the eggs. And his grandfather said, you know, well, once they stop laying eggs, you know, that's the end of them.
Gone to
And Harry's like, what do you mean the end of them? What do we do? And his grandfather said, well, we chop the heads off and we boil them.
Wow.
Sounds like my Croatian grandmother.
That's reality, yeah. This is really interesting. This is sandfire. So you should try that. That's
Sandfire.
been cooked and that's raw. It's what they call sea asparagus. And on tonight's episode, we actually go to the mouth of the Snowy River where it's all salt affected. And this guy, rather than grazing, started cultivating sandfire. So try it.
So it's an edible plant?
It's an edible, yeah. It's an edible plant, but
Or a
should try that one.
vegetable, if
But
you
do you
will.
eat it? Do you eat it as a vegetable or do you put it in something?
You eat it like a bean, but it's incredibly
that's nice.
salty.
Yeah, it is
That's
really
nice.
salty.
Yeah.
Oh, they are like
and I
little.
bet
They are
you-
like really little asparagus.
And I bet you discovered too how great Australian produce is.
Oh, look.
Isn't it amazing what we're doing here?
We are so lucky, and you know, and every episode and every story, it's just amazing. You know, I get quite emotional about it because I'm so passionate about it. But the people I meet, you know, they're just characters, you know, and they really love what they do. You know, Dalesford episode the other week, Mal and Lola, 70 years of age, their land is worth, you know, God knows how much money. They're still digging potatoes out of the ground with a pitchfork at 70. You know, organic. We couldn't film on the Saturday because they had to go to the farmers markets because everyone wouldn't have their potatoes for the week.
Wow. It's so interesting because, you know, France, you've got still had that artisan culture happening where, you know, all the cheese and, you know, cured meats are sort of brought from home, and it does teach you a real respect for food. I mean, there's so much wastage here in Australia with the overproduced, you know, kind of factory stuff, and then this kind of takes you back and...
Yeah.
Because that cheese,
It's the
my
best.
goodness, I've literally
Can I have a little
inhaled that
taste of
little
the
cheese.
cheese?
We have to hook
It's
into that.
so good.
So holy goat.
Holy goat.
Well, there's
Sorry.
goat's cheese and goat's cheese, but this one hasn't.
creamy,
This one
isn't
has
it?
a very creamy, and it doesn't have that very strong goaty
Bit of it
flavour
is.
that you get.
It's sacrilegious.
You know what? When I taste holy goat, and I think every one of them is different, you actually taste the paddock in the cheese. You know, and you can see that they're eating eucalyptus or whatever they're eating, and you get that flavour through them.
If you could have your perfect meal, Matt,
you.
what
Yeah.
would it be? What would be your...
This looks pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it
What about
changes.
sweet, though? I do have sweet tooth.
Yeah, I love chocolate, and I have a piece of chocolate every night. But look, it changes for me every week because it's all about the produce and it's all about what is in season. And you know, I always say figs are my favourite things when they come into season, and then the next month it's mangoes are my favourite.
Jess
things.
is angling
What's
for
that? Sorry,
this.
what-
She wants
That's
that.
walnut.
And that's
walnut
sweet.
and date.
That's yum.
Yeah, that comes from a lady up the
Phenomenal.
mountains.
We could sit here eating and chatting all day, but we have to move on.
Oh.
Unfortunately, after I swallow this cheese. Matt, thank you so much for coming on the
It's a pleasure. Good on.
This is a man who can do wonderful, wonderful, wonderful things in the kitchen, and you can learn more about what we've tried today on our panel on Paddock to Plate, which is on tonight at 8:30 on Foxtel Lifestyle. Great show. Congratulations.